My mother-in-law threw me out of their mansion while I was 6 months pregnant with nowhere to go, like I was trash. I thought his son, my husband, didn't want me and the baby. But what I didn't know was that he never even knew I was gone. My name is Claire, and this is the story of how being in love nearly destroyed me, and how truth, when it finally surfaced, changed everything. It's a tale steeped in the bitter irony of sacrifice, the insidious nature of deceit, and the undeniable power of a love that against all odds refused to be extinguished. I grew up in a quiet part of the city, a small house with a perpetually blooming rose bush by the front door, and the comforting scent of my mother's baking always in the air. We didn't have much in terms of material wealth, but our home was rich with laughter, understanding, and an abundance of unconditional love. My parents taught me that true value wasn't found in possessions, but in connections, in kindness, in the simple, profound act of caring for one another. I was a dreamer, a girl who devoured fairy tales and believed in the inherent goodness of the world. I believed in dreams that outgrew their circumstances, in the notion that love, true unwavering love, could conquer anything. That's what I believed with every fiber of my being, until I met Daniel. He was the son of the Montgomery family. Yes, those Montgomerys. The name alone conjured images of sprawling estates, polished mahogany, and an almost oppressive sense of old money and influence. Their legacy was woven into the very fabric of the city's elite, a dynasty built on generations of shrewd business acumen and unyielding social standing. Daniel walked into the modest, bustling restaurant where I worked one blustery evening. The instant he entered, the air shifted, heads turned. Whispers followed him like a shadow, while the world noticed his tailored suit, his expensive watch, and the unmistakable aura of status and money that clung to him. I noticed something else entirely. Sadness, a quiet, hidden ache behind his strikingly blue eyes, a subtle weariness that seemed at odds with his privileged existence. He asked for coffee, a simple request. I offered a genuine smile, a gesture of warmth that I hoped might reach beyond the superficiality that often surrounded him. That seemingly innocuous exchange, a cup of coffee and a smile, was the unassuming start to a tumultuous journey that would redefine my understanding of love, betrayal, and resilience. We began seeing each other in secret, a clandestine dance around the expectations of his world. Daniel explained that he yearned for a love that wasn't dictated by the suffocating constraints of his family's expectations, free from the cold calculations of social standing or financial gain. He spoke of wanting something real, something pure. And I, foolishly, perhaps, with the naive optimism of a girl in love, thought I could be that for him. He swept me off my feet with an old-world charm that felt plucked from the pages of a romantic novel. He took me to hidden gardens ablaze with the whimsical glow of fairy lights, read me classic poetry beneath the vast, indifferent canvas of the stars, and whispered dreams into my ear like comforting lullabies, painting vivid pictures of a future where we were simply us. Every whispered word, every tender glance, every shared laugh made me believe that maybe, just maybe, I, Claire, the girl from the quiet part of the city, could truly be a part of his extraordinary world. The illusion of our private sanctuary shattered the moment he introduced me to his family. Eleanor Montgomery, his mother, was a woman who embodied elegance dipped in the most refined cruelty. She didn't resort to shouting, didn't stoop to vulgar name-calling. Her power lay in her subtlety, her insidious ability to wound without raising her voice. Her smile was surgical, precise, cutting, and her words, delivered with a chillingly calm demeanor, were laced with a slow-acting poison. The unconventional, her tone, dripping with condescension disguised as a compliment, made my skin crawl, a cold tremor of unease spreading through me. It was a silent declaration of war, a subtle dismissal that told me I was nothing more than a fleeting curiosity, an amusing diversion. He looked into my eyes, his own filled with unwavering conviction, and told me he loved me. He told me not to worry, that he was strong enough to face anything for us. He vowed he would never let anyone, not even his formidable mother, come between us. His words were a balm, a temporary shield against Eleanor's venom, small and simple, just the way we had both envisioned it. For a while it felt like a dream spun from moonbeams and starlight. We found a small, charming home outside the bustling heart of the city, a haven where we could build our own life, free from the stifling weight of the Montgomery legacy. Daniel, true to his word, began slowly distancing himself from the suffocating demands of the family business, choosing to pursue his own passions. We were happy. Genuinely, blissfully happy, or so I thought. The first crack in our perfect facade appeared when I discovered I was pregnant. When we shared the news with his family, Daniel's joy was palpable, unbridled, a pure, radiant happiness that lit up his face. But Eleanor's reaction was a chilling tableau of silence. She said nothing, offered no congratulations, no warmth. Yet her eyes, they told me everything. They were cold, calculating, devoid of any genuine emotion. In her mind, she wasn't merely gaining a grandchild, she was losing a son. I was a permanent threat, an enemy who had dared to plant roots in her carefully cultivated garden. One crisp autumn afternoon, while Daniel was out of town on what he described as an unavoidable business trip, a trip I now suspect was deliberately orchestrated by Eleanor, she showed up at our doorstep. Calm, composed, dressed impeccably in beige and diamonds, she exuded an aura of elegant menace. She was like death wearing pearls, her presence a silent, chilling premonition. "Let's talk," she stated, her voice smooth as silk, devoid of any inflection. I hesitated, a flicker of intuition warning me, but the innocent part of me, the part that still believed in civility, prevailed. Stupidly, I let her in. She sat across from me at our kitchen table, a space that just a few hours earlier had been filled with the mundane, joyful task of me writing whimsical baby names in my journal. The air in our cozy home suddenly felt heavy, thick with unspoken tension. "You think you've won," she began, her gaze unwavering, cutting through me. "You think a baby makes you untouchable, a permanent fixture in Daniel's life, but women like you never last. You're a phase, Claire, a fleeting distraction. Daniel will inevitably come to his senses and realize the mistake he's made." I stood up, my hands clenched into fists, a surge of protective anger rising within me. "If you came here to threaten me—" "Oh, Claire," she interrupted, her voice syrupy, sweet, each word a deliberate, painful jab. "I came here to make you an offer you would be wise not to refuse." With a theatrical flourish, she opened her designer purse, pulled out a pristine checkbook, and began writing zero after zero onto the crisp paper, her pen scratching audibly in the sudden silence. I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound that held no amusement. "I'm not for sale, Mrs. Montgomery." She didn't even blink. Her expression remained impassive, as cold and unyielding as granite. "Then do it for him. Leave quietly, before your continued presence utterly ruins him, or before I am forced to ruin you." Those last words, delivered with a chilling conviction, stayed with me, echoing in the quiet chambers of my mind long after she had gone. I didn't care about her money, it meant nothing to me. But I believed her. God help me, I believed that leaving, sacrificing my own happiness, would somehow protect Daniel from her relentless machinations. I saw the anguish she could inflict, the power she wielded, and I couldn't bear the thought of him enduring her wrath because of me. The thought that I might be a burden, a weakness in his armor, was unbearable. So I did it. I made the agonizing choice. I packed my few belongings, taking only what was absolutely essential. I left my wedding ring on the nightstand, a silent, tear-soaked symbol of the love I was abandoning for what I thought was his greater good. I wrote him a letter, my vision blurred by tears I couldn't stop, pouring out my heart, telling him how profoundly I loved him, how desperately I wished things were different. I told him he deserved peace, a life free from conflict, and that I was stepping away so he could find it. I even tried to call him, a desperate last-ditch effort to hear his voice one more time, to explain, but his number had been disconnected. Eleanor, I later realized, had made sure of that. She had expertly sealed off every avenue of communication, ensuring my silence would be absolute. With nowhere else to go and no one to turn to, I found refuge in a women's shelter, a place of last resort where vulnerability met quiet strength. I changed my phone number, severing the last fragile thread to my old life. There, amidst shared meals and hushed conversations, I gave birth to a beautiful, fragile baby girl. I named her Hope because she was, truly, the only thing I had left in a world that had crumbled around me. Daniel never came. The days bled into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. Every sunrise brought with it the crushing weight of his absence, the gnawing question of why he hadn't sought me out, why he hadn't fought for us. I worked tirelessly, often holding down 2 jobs, raising Hope on my own. She was my anchor, my reason for breathing. She had his eyes, stormy gray, thoughtful, intelligent, filled with a depth that always startled me. Every time she laughed, a joyous, uninhibited sound, I heard his voice in echoes, a sweet agony that simultaneously nourished and tore at my heart. We built a life, Hope and I, a small, independent existence, forged from resilience and a mother's fierce love. Then, one rainy afternoon, years after I'd walked away, everything changed. I was working a shift at a charming little book cafe, the comforting aroma of coffee and old paper filling the air. It was a haven I'd carved out for myself, a place where I felt a fleeting sense of peace. The bell above the door chimed, announcing a new customer. A man walked in, drenched and breathless, shaking rain from his dark hair. I looked up from wiping down the counter, and my world spun on its axis. Daniel, he stood there, framed in the doorway, the rain plastering his clothes to his lean frame, looking utterly stunned, like he'd seen a ghost. "Like I was the ghost, Claire," he whispered, his voice hoarse, laced with disbelief, as if he couldn't quite trust his own eyes. I froze, my heart hammering against my ribs, a dizzying cocktail of shock, longing, and a profound, terrifying fear swirling within me. What are you doing here?" I managed, my voice barely a whisper. "I've been looking for you," he said, taking a hesitant step forward, his eyes searching mine, desperately seeking answers. "For years, Claire, why did you leave? Why didn't you say goodbye?" I felt my knees weaken, the betrayal I had carried for so long bubbling to the surface. "You didn't get my letter." "What letter?" His brow furrowed in confusion, genuine bewilderment clouding his face. "My goodbye," I reiterated, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. "I left it on the nightstand." Eleanor came to the house. He interrupted me, his voice shaking now, a dawning horror spreading across his face. "She told me you left with someone else. She told me you'd never loved me, that I was just a means to an end. She said you aborted the baby and vanished without a trace." My heart didn't just crack. It shattered into a million irreparable pieces. The years of pain, of silent accusation, of assuming his complicity, all evaporated in that single, devastating revelation. The truth, ugly and raw, finally surfaced. "She lied," I whispered, tears finally escaping, tracing hot paths down my cheeks. "She destroyed everything." Daniel sank into a nearby chair, burying his face in his hands, his broad shoulders shaking with silent sobs. "I never stopped looking, Claire. Not for a single day. I hired investigators, the best I could find. I searched hospitals, checked every shelter registry, even tracked your distant cousin in Seattle, hoping for a clue. I thought maybe you didn't want to be found, that you had moved on, found a new life where I wasn't a part of it. I wanted to be found every single day. I said, my voice thick with emotion, the tears now flowing freely. But I didn't want to ruin you. I thought I was protecting you from her. I thought my leaving would finally give you peace. He looked up, his eyes brimming with tears, his gaze locking with mine. You were my peace, Claire, not her, never her. You were the only calm in the storm of my life. Just then, the bell above the cafe door chimed again. Hope walked in, her small hand clutching a colorful drawing she'd made in school, her eyes bright with the innocent joy of a child. She looked up, her gaze sweeping the cafe, and then her eyes landed on him, on the man who had haunted my dreams and shaped her very existence, unknowingly. Mom, she asked, her voice a sweet chime. Who is that? Daniel turned towards her, and I saw it. The instantaneous recognition, the profound realization that washed over his face. The connection, undeniable and immediate. He slowly knelt down, his eyes, so like hers, brimming with tears, his voice thick with emotion. I'm your dad, he said softly, a statement of profound tenderness and regret. Hope blinked, her young mind trying to process the enormity of the moment. Really? She asked, her voice filled with a mixture of awe and disbelief. He nodded, a tear escaping and tracing a path down his cheek. If you'll let me be. She looked at me, her gaze seeking reassurance. I smiled through my own tears, a genuine, joyful smile for the first time in years. It's okay, baby, I whispered, nodding encouragingly. Hope, with the simple, trusting instinct of a child, walked directly into his outstretched arms, as if she had been waiting her whole life for that embrace, for the missing piece of her identity to finally click into place. He held her tightly, burying his face in her hair, tears of profound relief and sorrow soaking her small shoulders. The three of us stood there in the quiet book cafe, reunited, raw, trembling with the weight of years of separation and the shocking truth of betrayal. It was a tableau of fractured past and fragile future, held together by an unbreakable bond. Daniel finally pulled back, his eyes fixed on mine, his expression a mixture of renewed hope and lingering pain. I'll never forgive myself for letting her take you from me, Claire, for not seeing through her lies. I reached out, placing a hand on his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart beneath my palm. She didn't take us, Daniel. We let fear win. We were both victims of her manipulation. But not anymore. Not ever again. Later that month, Daniel, now armed with the unvarnished truth and an unwavering sense of purpose, confronted Eleanor. It was not a volatile shouting match, but a quiet, firm declaration. He told her the truth had finally risen, like an undeniable tide, and that she would never again come near his family, near Hope or me. He made it clear that her reign of insidious control was over. She didn't cry, she didn't scream, she didn't even try to defend herself. She simply turned and walked away, her elegant posture unwavering, her face devoid of expression, knowing, with a chilling certainty, that she had finally lost. Her power, built on deceit and manipulation, had crumbled in the face of truth and an unbreakable love. We moved into a new home, a modest house with a sprawling backyard perfect for Hope to play in. No mansions, no grand legacies, no suffocating expectations. Just a quiet, peaceful space where we could build our lives anew. It was a love that wasn't forged in fairy tales, but in the crucible of hardship, raw, imperfect, and incredibly real. We learned to communicate, to trust again, to heal the wounds inflicted by a cruel hand. Sometimes, even now, I still wake up in the middle of the night, my heart pounding, a cold sweat on my brow, panicked and afraid that it was all a dream, a beautiful mirage that will vanish with the morning light. But then I turn over, and I see them. My husband, his arm protectively draped over our daughter, both sleeping peacefully beside me. Their steady breathing, the tangible warmth of their presence, reassures me. Love didn't come easy for us. It came with war. A war waged by a master manipulator. A war that nearly claimed everything we held dear. But we survived. And now, every single day, we choose each other again. We choose forgiveness. We choose healing. And we choose the quiet, profound joy of a family reunited against all odds. In the end, love didn't just win, it transformed. From pain came purpose. From rejection came strength. And sometimes, the ones we overlook become the ones we can't live without. If this story touched your heart, don't scroll away just yet. Tell us in the comments, was Ethan's change of heart too late, or just in time? Like if you believe real love finds a way, even through pain. Subscribe for more powerful stories that echo real emotions and second chances. And remember, the next story might just be your story.